everyone, welcome to this lecture number 1 of the NPTEL lecture series on charging infrastructure, where we discuss different aspects of EV charging system. And in this lecture, we will introduce you with the EV charging systems which are there in this ecosystem. Now, if we talk about the course introduction, so the course briefly covers topics like introduction to EV charging systems, like what are the building blocks in those EV charging system, what is actually the EV charging system we are talking about, and then we will talk more into detail on the building blocks of an AC and DC charger. Then after understanding different building blocks of an AC and DC charger, we will go and discuss in detail individual building blocks, like we will discuss in detail about types, operating principle, design and control of power conversion unit, which is primarily the AC to DC and isolated DC to DC power converters. And then after that, there will be also be discussion on communications, like whenever the charger plug gets plugged into the EV, there are a lot of communication which is taking place, a lot of handshaking which is taking place between the charger and the EV in order to ensure the safe charging of a EV battery. Now this communication also depends on what kind of charging system it is. If it is an AC charging system, the requirement of data to be transferred from EV to charger is not that critical than in the case of a DC charger, and that we will discuss in detail as we go along in this course, why in DC charger we require a lot of data to be shared from the EV to the charger, primarily because our power conversion unit in the DC charger is kept outside the vehicle and you are directly plugging in the DC into the electric vehicle. Then we will also discuss about different charging procedures, different protocols it follows while doing the AC charging as well as while doing the DC charging. And in this we will discuss in detail about different communication protocols also which are being used in doing that. However, there are several charging procedures and protocols. We will limit our discussion in AC charging system, AC type 2 chargers and different communication aspect related to AC type 2 charging system, and in DC charger we will discuss CCS2, which is another kind of a charging system, DC charging system. So, we will discuss about things related to CCS2 and also some things related to DC 001, or you can say Bharat EVC DC 001 charging system. And we will then conclude at the later stages, we will conclude what are the components of a charging station, how those components are interacting with each other, and we will also discuss the different aspect of power conversion as well. Now let us start with the subsystems of an EV. EV itself is a system, and that system is comprises of several subsystems, and this subsystem will interact with each other and ensure that the job for which the EV has been designed is fulfilled, or you can say the requirement for which the EV is designed is fulfilled. So, in this thing we have the mechanical subsystem. If we talk about mechanical subsystem, we have the gearbox unit, we have the differential unit, and we have the several mechanical linkages which will be connecting at the output of electric motor going towards the wheel of the vehicle. Then from the mechanical subsystem we have the electrical subsystem, or you can say the proportional subsystem. In proportional subsystem we have the electric motor, which is the machine which converts the electrical power into the mechanical power, and then in order to ensure that EV motor, or you can say the electric motor, performs and listen to the command given by the driver or given by the user, we require a powertronic converter which converts the battery voltage, or you can say the battery output voltage and current into the form which has to be fed in into the, which is being used by the electric motor. After the electric motor, we have to supply the electric motor, we have a powertronics converter. Now this powertronic converter is used to actually convert the battery output voltage and current into the form which is being required by the electric motor. Mostly there are AC motors which are being used, could be PMSM and induction motor, which are being very frequently used in the EVs around the world. So that is why we have to convert the output of a battery, to convert the output of the battery which is a DC into the AC, which is actually being fed into the AC motor, and then required torque is generated which is being given to the wheels. if we talk about, in order to control the power electronic converter, we have the vehicle controller, which is also sometimes called as a electronic controller unit, which gives signals to the local controller of this power electronic converter to actually provide the required gating signal to different power electronic switches in the power electronic converter, which actually helps in generating the required voltage and at a required frequency to be fed into the electric motor in order to achieve required or you can say the speed demanded from the user. Then we have the accumulator management system, or you can say the BMS or battery management system. If the accumulator is a battery, if it is a battery powered electric vehicle, then accumulator will be a battery. If it is a fuel cell based electric vehicle, then the accumulator will be the fuel cell or combination of battery and fuel cell. So that is why we have used the very common terminologies, which is the accumulator. So accumulator could be a battery pack, or could be the combination of battery pack or fuel cell, or could be the combination of battery pack and ultra capacitor, but for now we assume that it is just the battery pack. So in order to ensure the safe operation of the battery pack, we also have the battery management system, which ensures the cell balancing of individual cells in the battery pack, because battery pack comprises of series parallel combinations of battery cells, so that the charge distribution among those cells will be ensured by this BMS. Also along with this, it will also ensure the temperature of the battery and the voltage level of the battery and current level is within the safe operating region or not. Now whenever the vehicle runs, the battery gets discharged, and in order to replenish the energy which gets discharged while propelling the vehicle in either forward or backward direction, we require a charging system, or we require a charger, and that charger could be a AC charger and DC charger. And that is what we will discuss entirely in this course, like what is this charging unit, or what is this unit which is been used to actually replenish the energy which is been taken out from the battery while the vehicle is in operation. And this comes under the energy storage subsystem. This charger unit can sometimes also be kept outside the energy storage subsystems as well. And then after that, what we have is, we have another important thing, which is the vehicle communication, and that vehicle communication could be inter vehicle communication or could be the intra vehicle communication. That means within the vehicle communication, or it could be between the vehicles, different vehicles as well, the communication may take place. So this is what is all about the subsystems of an EV, and we are talking about in this course things related to charger unit, and that charger unit is nothing but either your AC charger or a DC charger which gets plugged into your EV to actually charge your battery pack. And to support that charging, we require certain equipment, certain other infrastructure that we will discuss in this particular course. Now if we talk about some of the EV battery information, because that will define some of the important criteria related to the charging system. So if we talk about EV battery information, particularly from the Indian perspective, also most of the things will also be relevant for the rest of the world as well. So in this, we have electric two-wheelers which have the battery capacity somewhere going down from 1.2 to 8 kilowatt hour, and having the battery voltage going from 48 to 72 volt. Now this 48 to 72 volt are the nominal voltage which I am talking about. However, when the battery is fully charged, it has the voltage nearly 15% extra than that of the nominal voltage, and whenever it is discharged, it goes up to 75% of this nominal voltage as well. That means the charger unit must support the 75% to 115% of the battery charging as well. Then comes the EV three-wheeler, or you can say E three-wheeler, which has the battery capacity again going from 3.6 to 8 kilowatt hour. Again the battery voltage will be somewhere lying between 48 to 72 volt, and these are actually the nominal battery voltage levels, and the maximum voltage may go up to 15% additional than that of the battery, this nominal voltage. Then when we talk about the EV cars, or you can say electric cars, now there could be electric cars with low voltage powertrain, there could be a electric car with high voltage powertrain. In low voltage powertrain, we have a battery voltage somewhere around 72 volt. However, over the time it has been understood that the efficiency of the powertrain can be improved if we go for high voltage. Efficiency and performance of the powertrain can be improved if we go for high voltage, and that is why it goes up to, the high voltage powertrain will have a battery pack having the nominal voltage somewhere between 350 to 500 volt, and that is something which is, important to understand for us, because this result in two kinds of charging system. Whenever we are doing the, let us say, whenever we are doing the DC charging, whenever directly the DC gets plugged into the vehicle, so entire power conversion is taking place outside the vehicle. In that case, we require two sets of charging system. One is, you can say, charging system which supports somewhere between 40 to 120 volt DC, and we have and second one will be the charging system which supports the high voltage, which is somewhere between 350 to 500 volt. Generally, as I mentioned, that this particular, these voltages are the nominal voltage, and generally the maximum voltage of the battery will be kept nearly 15% than that of this nominal voltage, and we assume that whenever the battery voltage goes up to 75% of the nominal voltage, that is when we can say the battery is fully, in a discharge state. So, the voltage level may go from 75% of this nominal voltage to 115% of this nominal voltage. And this, when we talk about e-car with low voltage powertrain, this was the first generation cars where in early 2000s when the cars were there. Now, over the period of time, the high voltage powertrain has been adopted with a battery pack somewhere around 30 to 80 kilowatt hour, and having the, high voltage battery pack somewhere having a nominal voltage somewhere between 350 to 500 volt range. Now, so that is why we have charging system to support two voltages. One is at low voltage, which is going from 40 to 120 volt, and then another one is the high voltage, which is going from 350 to 500 volt. And this is the important understanding which we get from this table, because this will help us in understanding, let us say, when we have a car, so we require a charging system which supports this high DC voltage at the output. Primarily talking about the DC chargers, because in AC chargers we are directly plugging in AC into the vehicle, and inside the vehicle we have a power conversion unit to convert that AC voltage into the required DC, and which will be fed to the battery. The data which are presented over here are as per the report given in the link below and some of the recent launches from different manufacturers. However, considering the rapid evaluation of EV technologies, these numbers may change in future. Now comes the another important topic, which is the EV battery charging. Now, the EV battery charging obviously can be done in various ways. The first way is, conductive charging, where we have the AC and DC charger, where you are actually plugging in the charger plug into the vehicle, and through the copper wires or through the wires the charges, or you can say the battery gets charged from the electric vehicle supply equipment, or you can say from the charger. Now, there are another kind of charging which is possible, which is the contactless charging. In contactless charging, primarily there are two kinds of technology which are available, which is inductive, contactless charging using magnetic field, and the second one is capacitive, which is the contactless charging using the electric field. So, these are the contactless charging. This we are talking about static contactless charging, where the vehicle comes in and gets parked, and then automatically the charging of the EV battery will be taking place without actually plugging in any plug or any connector into the vehicle. So, that will give the full autonomy to the user, that they do not have to bother about plugging in the charger into the, into the EV, just like you have the wireless charger for your phones. Now, if we talk about this one, both the conductive and contactless charging requires a dedicated infrastructure to charge the vehicle. That means, in case of conductive charging, you require AC or DC charger to be placed in the parking lot, and then the user goes in and plug the charger into the EV. Then in contactless charging, you have to park your vehicle in the desired location or in the desired place where the power is transferred either through magnetic media or the electric media. So, in both the cases, you have to go and park your vehicle into the designated place, and that will lead to the charge anxiety, or you can say the range anxiety among the user. So, for example, if let us say you are taking your EV and going into a long drive or going into a highway, then you have to always bother about where the charging stations are located, where I can go and park my vehicle and get it charged. So, that is the range anxiety which actually has among the user when they are having the conductive charging and contactless charging, which is which could also be there for people who are using, or for the user who are using the gasoline vehicle, I mean where they have to fill in the gas or petrol. But the thing is, the petrol pumps and the gas filling stations are very much nearby, are very much well stabilized, and the infrastructure are very well laid down. So, the you can find this the petrol pumps or charging station or gas filling station in every kilometer of a distance travel, you will find those stations. So, that is when the charge anxiety in the user is less as compared to the charge anxiety in the EV user, because you have limited charging stations, and that is when the range anxiety is one of the important botheration for the user. Then you have the dynamic contactless charging, where you can charge your vehicle while you are moving, or you can say it is also called as the on-road vehicle charging, where your transmitter coils are placed on the roads and your receiver coil is on the vehicle, and when you are and on the move itself you are able to transfer the power from the transmitter to the receiver, and that is when which can be used to charge the battery pack. So, that will actually increase the range. So, here we can get the range extension, but still it helps you to reach to certain points, but beyond which you require a dedicated charging stations, or where you can go and park and charge your vehicle. However, in dynamic contactless charging as well, you require a dedicated infrastructure where you can place the transmitters onto the roads, and then while running you can charge your vehicle. Then comes another technology, which is a battery swapping technology, where the user can take the vehicle, swap the battery, only the battery pack, with the battery pack having the same kind of health and having the larger SOC, or you can say having the, I mean you can replace the discharge battery with the charge battery having the same kind of health. However, understanding the health of the battery or monitoring the health of the battery will be a challenge in this battery swapping technique. However, in this battery swapping method, what you can do is you can increase the range is increased to infinity. That means you just have to go to battery swapping stations, just replace the battery pack with the charged battery pack and then move on. So, here you do not have to, so you can actually practically increase the range to the infinity. However, obviously you require a dedicated battery swapping station, but the stop time or the stoppage time is minimal as compared to conductive charging. You do not have to wait and charge your vehicle, I mean you do not have to wait too much to charge your vehicle as compared to the conductive charging, or you can say conductive charging of, I mean in case of conductive charging. So, this is what is the battery swapping technology, one can also use. So, range can be increased to infinity if the battery swapping stations are placed in nearby distances. Again, here also one has to make sure that battery swapping stations are there, and again but only one advantage you have is you do not have to stop for longer period of time. However, here also there is a complexity in identifying the health of the battery, and that is why this technology is also quite complicated. So, that is why most of the systems are conductive charging systems. So, we will focus our discussions on this conductive charging system, because if we understood the conductive charging system, all those communication, all those charging procedures can be applied to contactless charging system as well. Then comes the battery charging modes. Now, again we have seen what are the different battery voltages which are available in the ecosystem. We have also understood the different charging methods which are available in the ecosystem. Now while the battery is getting charged, there are several modes by which the batteries are getting charged. Now, the first mode is the CC mode, which is a constant current mode. Now in the constant current mode, what you have to do is we have to continuously ensure that the batteries are getting charged with the constant current. That means the charging is done with constant current. Now it leads to two things which can which can happen. One is obviously overheating of the battery pack, because we have the internal resistance of the battery pack, I square R losses will be there in that internal resistance. Then second, one has to continuously monitor the voltage level of the battery pack, because voltage level of the battery pack cannot go beyond the maximum voltage level of the battery cell or the battery pack. For example, if we take a standard lithium ion cell, it has the nominal voltage of 3.6, which goes maximum up to 4.2, which is nearly your 115%, or you can say 115% of 3.6. And whenever it is fully, or you can say whenever it is discharged, generally we allow to go it up to 2.7 volt, which is nearly 75% of 3.6 volt. Now this battery cell will be connected in series to obtain several battery with several voltages. So let us take, if we take 48 volt battery pack, so it goes maximum up to 55 volt, which is 15% extra with that of nominal voltage, and it goes in the other side, it goes maximum up to 35 volt, which is 75% of that 48 volt. So we must ensure that the battery pack must not extend beyond 55 volt, or you can say the each cell must not extend beyond 4.2 volt. So continuous monitoring or monitoring of voltages battery is required. These are the two disadvantages of this charging method. Now comes the constant voltage. In the constant voltage, what happens is that the charging is done with the constant voltage. So in this case, the voltage is kept at the fixed voltage at the output of a charger. Now that indicate because of this constant voltage, two things may arise. One is obviously the overheating, and this overheating may arise due to the overcurrent during the initial charging process. That means whenever there is a huge difference between the charger output and the battery voltage, now during that time the huge inrush current will flow from the charger to the battery, and that is when the constant voltage has a problem of enormously very high current during at the initial stages of charging, or you can say the high inrush current. Now to limit that, to avoid that, there is another charging method which is being used, or you can say charging mode which is being used, which is called as a CCCV, which is a constant current followed by constant voltage. And here both the things can be addressed. First, the constant current is being applied, and that is when you can limit the value of inrush current, because you have, since you are applying a constant current, you cannot have the very high inrush current which is been drawn by the battery pack. And then the constant current is been applied, but we have to monitor the voltage of battery. So that is why we can then ensure the moment the battery voltage reaches to its maximum voltage, we can then change the constant current mode to the constant voltage mode. Now if we see the curve which looks like, so in CC and CV mode, generally what we have is we have something called pre-charge stage, where what we will do is, where the small charging current is being applied, such that where the small constant charging current, you can say the I pre-charge is applied, such that the no inrush current will be drawn, or no huge amount of current will be drawn at the starting of the charging. And then after that the battery current is being kept constant, and this we can name it as ICC, constant current we can apply. And in during this portion, during this time, If we see, since our current is kept at a small value, so our voltage will go with this slope, with some small slope it is going. And then after that, since you have applied a good amount of current, the slope of the voltage will go suddenly rising up, and then near to this maximum voltage, you can say V rated of the battery, it goes and it clamps the voltage to that value. Now during this time the current, since we have kept our voltage constant, the current will now die down exponentially, or you can say with some RC constant. However, we cannot define RC constant with with precise, because the internal resistance as well as the capacitance of the battery will change with the battery current. So we cannot, these are the highly nonlinear systems. So however, there is some kind of exponential decay of the current, and then we can say whenever the current reaches to, let's say, the I minimum value, we can then put the end of charging. Whenever the current reduces to the value smaller than the I minimum value, we can then stop the charging, and this place is the CC, or you can say CC part, and this place is the CV part. Now if we try to see our power, so power will also, since the current is constant here, the power is also going linearly with the voltage. Then from here to here it will further go and reaches to its maximum power level, and then from there, since the voltage is constant and current is going down, the power will also be having the same slope, same variation as that of current, and goes, and then it comes to this point and then goes to 0 at the end of charging phase. So this is the charging power, or you can say power during the charging. That is how the power gets varied over the when the charging is taking place, and over this is the time period. During the CC part, we are having the fast charging of the battery, and during the CV charge, the what you can say, the it is the time taking part of charging, or you can say it takes huge amount of time for the current to go below the minimum value, and that's when we can ensure that the voltage of the battery pack reaches somewhere near to the rated value, and we can say that battery is fully charged once the current which is drawn during the constant current will go to nearly less than I minimum value. Then we have another kind of charging which is constant power followed by constant voltage. This is another kind of charging mode where we first kept the constant power, then followed by the constant voltage. So it will help in charging the battery with high currents at low SOCs and or at low charging level, and the current goes down as charging progresses. Now there are another kinds of charging modes which are available. You can also have multi-step CCCV, where you can put the here we have kept constant current. We can put the some steps of current as well in case of multi-step CCCV. This will help to optimize the the fast charging period, or you can say this is the CC period, to optimize the time for the fast charging period. Then you have the second one, there is also pulse charging. After that, you also have the variable current charging. So where instead of keeping the constant current, you can keep on varying the current, kind of a multi-step constant current followed by constant voltage charging, where instead of keeping the very large amount of current, we can keep the variable current. We can keep a very high current at the low SOCs, and then the SOCs are nearing towards nearing towards a larger value, we can reduce the current. So many different charging modes are possible. However, is the CC followed by CV which are being commonly used in the as a charging modes for charging the EV batteries. So why we need a EV charger? Why we need a dedicated equipment called as a EV charger for charging our EV battery? Now it is primarily used because of the requirement of charging profile, and that requirement of charging profile is defined by the battery management system of your EV. So in the EV you have a battery pack, and that to manage that battery pack you have a battery management system, and it is a battery management system which will define what kind of charging profile it is needed to charge the battery which is being used. So different manufacturer have different kinds of charging profile which is being communicated to the charger, and accordingly charger will keep the output to charge the battery following that charging profile. So we need the charger to actually support the specific charging profile along with required protection, safety and communication, and that communication is needed for monitoring and metering purposes. So the EV charger is needed to actually support the specific charging profile demanded by the BMS of the vehicle. Also in more top level, if we see, the EV chargers are being used because the charging is done from AC, voltage source or grid, AC grid we can say, or uncontrolled DC source from the renewables like solar, one example. So charging is done from the AC grid or sometimes uncontrolled DC source as well. So we are actually charging using an AC, and we have the battery which is the DC source. So primary we require the EV charger, dedicated charger, because we have a AC grid and we need to charge the DC batteries. So we require some kind of power conversion unit, and that power conversion unit must operate with the required inputs, and that power converter must be operated at required operating conditions with required protections, safety, in order to ensure the safe charging of the EV, and in order to do the safe charging of the EV batteries, because batteries are the one which are storing energy and they are prone to catastrophic failure in the vehicle since they are storing the energy. Now if we talk in a briefly what is a building, because we will discuss that in from the next class onward, but the building block of an EV charger is primarily comprises of a power conversion unit, which is nothing but the AC to DC converter followed by isolated DC-DC converter, obviously having some filters to ensure the required DC as well as the required AC current is been drawn with the specific power quality requirements. Then we have the communication ports, which comprises of proximity pilot, control pilot, and with the CAN channels like CAN high and CAN low channels, and with sometimes it will also require the dedicated PLC modems as well. So these are the some of the communication ports which are being needed. Then comes the electric vehicle supply equipment. Now this is the unit which comprises of power. Sometimes when we talk about DC VSC, it comprises of power conversion unit. In case of AC charger, it comprises of sensors, relays, protective devices, in order to ensure that we have the input which is getting plugged into the EV is within the safe operation or within the safe limits. So that is usage of the electric vehicle supply equipment. When we have AC charging, we have a AC VSC. When we do the DC charging, we have the DC VSC. And then you have the connectors and plug. These are important because the charging plug is coming from EVSC, which gets plugged into the vehicle via vehicle inlet connector, and the compatibility of those things, or you can say form factors of the plug and the inlet connector, must be same such that they both get plugged in a proper manner. And further we need cables between the EVSC to the which can run from the EVSC to the vehicles, and that is generally kept using in the 5 meter standard cables. So, these are building blocks of EV charger. We will discuss in detail in the next class. Till then, thank you, and we will see you in the next class. This is just the introductory class. We will start our in detail discussion from the next class onwards. Thank you.